What's up, page turners? Welcome to Writers with Purpose. I'm your host, Mel Vees from Written Words Publishing. At Written Words Publishing, we envision a world where every storyteller, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to share their voice, shape narratives, and impact the world through the written word. So, if you value powerful storytelling, which I know you do, page turners, because you all tune in with us here every week, do me a favor, like this video, follow this channel, subscribe to this channel, share this podcast wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Share, 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 okay? Because somebody is going to get something out of the conversation that we are going to have today. They always do. They always do, okay? So, page turners, let me ask you a question. What if the last hope for humanity wasn't a fearless hero, but a broken fighter carrying more scars than answers? Sometimes when somebody has to fight, you think that they're supposed to be a fearless hero, but sometimes it's not the fearless hero. It's the person that's carrying the scars that can do the save humanity, save humanity. Okay, Born of Fire, the Phoenix Knight throws readers into a gripping post-apocalyptic world where ancient prophecy, mystical warfare, and the battle between light and darkness collide. So, if you love epic fantasy with unforgettable characters and high stakes, you are in for a treat. And you all know I love fantasy. I love fantasy. So, do me a favor and let's welcome the author of this great book, Lisette Martinez, to Writers with Purpose with us.
Hello.
Hello, Lisette. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm doing great. Tell a page turner something about yourself.
Well, on my normal day job, I'm a reading teacher in Massachusetts, working in a dual language program where students learn in two languages, Spanish and English, throughout the day. So they're learning to be not just bilingual, but biliterate as well.
Wow, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. I didn't know that they had a curriculum like that. Is that a public school setting where they're offering that curriculum?
It
That's
is. It's in a public school where the town is a majority is of Latino descent. So it's a way to celebrate the children's heritage, but also inviting other children from other backgrounds to come in, learn a new language, share and bond and build community.
awesome. That's so awesome. Well, tell the page turners what was your purpose for writing Born of Fire, the Phoenix Knight?
Well, I wrote this book starting in college, actually. It was kind of a follow up to a silly high school story I made in high school where I was curious what would it be like if the fantasy world was mixed in with our world. So like, someone's going to the store and then something crazy happens and magical happens. Um and that was just me as a kid fooling around, loving Dungeons and Dragons and comic books and all of the fantasy kind of world. Um, but as it went on, it started more of exploring the human emotions in a fantasy realm. What does a person do when they're just being hit after hard aspects of life and losing loved ones, feeling betrayed, feeling alone, dealing with trauma? But now, how do you deal with it with the whole weight of the world literally on your shoulders?
Mm.
Because sometimes when we're dealing with our own stuff, it can feel like the rest of the world is on our shoulders and we need to carry on, but we also need to heal. And you feel like there's no time to do either.
Okay, that is so true. So your main character, is it a female?
It is male. His name is
A
Rue.
male. Ro? Okay, tell us about Ro.
Well, Rue is a Latino male who loses from a very early age. He loses his family, There's a devastating war. He doesn't understand what's really going on. He just tries to do what he thinks is the best thing to do. It's almost like a world war breaks out, and even though he's just a kid, he signs up, he does all the things he thinks he's supposed to do after a traumatic event, but it leaves him worse for wear in the end. And it is then when he is now given the assignment to save the world. He's already been broken by a system that is oppressive, loss that is unimaginable, and now he's got to do something about it by himself. And how do you even deal with that when it's not even your choice?
That is so true. That is so true. Yeah. How do you deal with having to deal with something that you didn't choose this? You didn't choose this. You didn't want to do this. So, but you don't have any choice now. You have to deal with it. Now, what do you do? That's great. That's a great like real life example to throw into fiction. To yeah, maybe somebody else that's reading it that might be going through something like that could see an end to their means there. That's really great. Tell us about your experience building the world. So the story takes place on Earth, but it's apocalyptic.
Yes, it's so you think about it, the world is kind of finally in a place you think it's going to go well, and then everything falls apart.
Mm,
And infrastructure, everything is just down to the basics. And I've seen a lot of great sci-fi, steampunk kind of worlds like that, but I was like, well, what if you bring the magic in there too? The fantasy aspects, prophecies, mysticism. What is that going to look like when you have all of these different kind of worlds smashing together, and eventually you're dealing with parallel dimensions and other kingdoms and other species out there that you didn't think actually existed?
mm, mm. Was there a character where you had it in your head, this is how the character was going to go and this is what the character was going to do, but the character was screaming at you and you ended up having to take it a whole nother direction than you originally planned?
Yes. Oh, definitely. The especially this main character, Rue. I really honestly thought his path to acceptance, his path to healing was going to be a lot more straightforward. I originally was going to picture him as, doesn't start as the archetypal hero, but he earns it. No, no, because it didn't feel right. He's a flawed human being who sometimes hates his position. Sometimes he will dedicate everything to do what he's been asked to do. And it's a constant back and forth because that's human.
Mm,
And if I finally, at the end, he might accept his fate, maybe he won't. I don't want to spoil it. Or, it can't work as the kind of Superman archetype because it's not what he's dealing with. He's not dealing with this. To him, it's not a strange concept. To
mm,
us, it is. Battle to save all humanity, ensure world peace. It's something that we can't comprehend, but he does. He understands it's important, but at the same time, he just wants to live his life as a regular guy.
mm, mm. Does the story have battle scenes? Like, did you actually have to like show a fight on paper?
Oh yeah, there are quite a few fights because he starts off as the only way you can make money is an underground, fighter. He's getting paid to just, you know, get in a cage and bare knuckle box with other people. So there's a lot of it because you have to think about there's this world where everybody's angry.
Mm,
Everyone doesn't know why it all collapsed, but it did. And now they're here to pick up whatever pieces, whatever little things they can get.
mm, mm. So true. Well, was there a particular scene or any type of obstacles you faced while you were writing something that was just like really hard to write, or difficult, or maybe a scene that was like super fun to write, like that you wrote it and you were like, this is
Oh,
the
I definitely had both.
best.
The battle scenes are so much fun because really I can, and the beauty of fantasy is like maybe a magical creature is going to pop up and somehow help or harm you or something like that. So like there's no limits to what you can do as long as it fits in the world. But the
Mhm.
emotional scenes, which were the ones that were closest to my heart, the scenes where he has to deal with being human and his feelings and what does that mean, um I really just tried so hard to make sure they felt authentic. It felt real, like someone, maybe what got them there is not the same thing, but maybe they can relate to this feeling, relate to his reactions, and hopefully get some sort of catharsis feelings
Mhm.
out. That would be
Mhm.
what I'd really love for a reader to experience. So I was really treating these scenes carefully.
Mhm. That's good. I'm glad to hear you admit that you actually took time and you were careful and meticulous about writing these scenes. That is awesome. That means there's going to be a great reader experience. So, which one of the characters do you think that people are going to like the most, and which one are they going to absolutely like? Be like, no, we don't like that
Um,
one.
what I really hope is the character has, of course, a love interest. Um, but I wanted to do this character, this love interest, with as much care and quiet strength. It is like you're the person you care about is in this horrible position. How are you going to react? How are you going to support them? And I wanted to give her a quiet strength, one that might not be obvious, but constant. And when you really see it, you realize like this is the kind of support anyone would want in life, no matter what was going on.
Mhm.
So I
That's
really
great.
hope, her name is Abby. I really hope people love her. Um, though there was a few times where I tried to humanize the villain a little bit too, just because I want to make it a little more complicated. Really have people explore those feelings of what they think. But at first you really do hate him.
Mhm.
You really do hate him.
Okay, the villain. At first, you really hate the villain, but then at some point, you might come to love him, or at least
Well, not really love him, more like I see where he became what he did. you
understand
know
him. You
hmm
understand him. Okay,
and make it
that
a
that
little more complicated for feelings at the end.
Okay, all right, yeah, awesome, awesome. So I mean, you got the action, you have the emotions, you have the world and all that going on. That's a lot to put together and organize and lay out in a nice story. So for those aspiring fantasy authors out there who have an incredible story like that in their heads, but they haven't started writing it yet, what type of advice would you give to those aspiring fantasy authors?
um Sometimes what you have to do is just sit down, um and get that first sentence down, get that started, because it's the first sentence, it's that first paragraph, that start, that's the hardest to get past. But once you do, it's so much more um fulfilling afterwards, and it'll start flowing. And always go back and reread, because it keeps you connected with where you want to go and where you've been in your story. And don't rush. I mean, this one was, like I said, I'm 44 now. I started this in college. It will take the time it needs. You don't have to rush your story, because it's going to develop and come from you just as it's supposed to.
So true, so true. Yes, y'all don't rush it. Don't rush it. Just let the story develop, and when it's ready, it'll be ready, and then you can, perfect it and release it. So I like your cover here. Born on fire. What does fire symbolize in the story behind this literal meaning?
Well, I use it often as the instrument of destruction, but it's also the instrument of rebirth. Sometimes, and especially the way this world is, it's, everything has fallen apart, but maybe everything has to fall apart for something better to be built up again. So, um, my main character Rue is often quoted as a child born of fire. He literally has been destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed, whether emotionally, physically, mentally. But he has the fire to keep going and growing at the same time.
That's awesome. Yes, yes, fire to keep growing. That's a good concept. I like your cover. How did you come up with was that like the your vision for the cover, or did your designer do that? How did your cover come about?
This is actually the second cover.
Huh?
I had more of a straightforward, a figure standing in just a fiery wall, and you just see the shadows. But
Mm-hmm.
um, as time went on, seeing the more human side instead of just the shadow, seeing that it's gritty, it's not gonna be nicely wrapped up in a bow, because that's not life. And so I started playing around with other designs from a few drawings a friend of mine had made. And, we just started playing around with it together, what we liked, what we didn't like, and adjusting until we found this and we thought it was kind of cool.
It is cool. I like the way, you use the phoenix for the O in phoenix. I love the phoenix, underneath night with the shadow. And yes, it's a great cover. That's something that somebody would see and actually pick it up and turn over to see what is this book about. That's awesome. Um, oh my goodness. I had my next question in my head ready for you, and my mind just said bloop, 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 bloop,
It
bloop.
happens to me all the time.
I can't stand it. That's the first time it ever happened to me while I was live on the show. Let's do this. Let the page turners know where they can purchase this book. Where can they find you online?
Well, I have a website called Kitty Corner Media. Kitty and Corner are both spelled with a K. Uh, .wordpress.com, where there are links there, but you can also find it on Amazon and barnesandnobles.com.
Awesome, awesome. What publishing route did you take? Did you create an imprint and publish the books yourself? What publishing route did you choose to
Yes,
take?
I'm self-published, so I went through my own kind of uh, Ingram Sparks is a lot of fun. Well, but this one specifically, though, I started with KDP, which is the Amazon self-publishing, and Barnes and Noble self-publishing route, just because I was brand new and wanted to just give it a try. 'Cause I had finished it, I felt it was ready, but I got scared and I was like, let me just go full throttle. Don't back up until something's being processed, or else I might chicken out.
Yes, yes. Okay, so for all you aspiring authors out there, we always like to drop some type of, publishing, tip or writing tip, whatever kind of tip we can help you out with. So here's your publishing tip for the day, right? Decide the best publishing route for you and do all your research so that you don't have to go back and retrace and do something over or wish you had done something a different way. Like it is really would be worth your time to do all the research and find out what is going to be the best distribution route for you and your story before you release the story.
Yes, I feel like I would have, had I been a little more patient, but and more faith in being able to, follow through. I think I might have taken a little longer just to make sure I was in the right, using the right avenue. So it
Hmm.
worked out
Yeah,
well
because
for me, but still, I think I would have appreciated a little more time.
yes, I'm glad that everything worked out well for you. But I've seen it, and I know the worst thing is to think you're doing something the right way and then find out that it was the oh so wrong way. When all you had to do was just take some time and do the research and find out the right way. And what's really great about now, all of the information is out there and easily accessible. Yeah, so you don't have to guess and you don't have to wonder. You can join, groups with other authors or other publishers, or Google it, whatever you have to do to find out all the information. Go to YouTube University. I mean, the information is out there. So just don't do it blind. That's all I would tell you, aspiring authors out there. Do not do it blind. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you would like to tell the page turners before we leave today?
Um, I just hope if anyone is interested in picking this up, that they have a wonderful journey and they find as much fulfillment from reading it, or at least some, as I really have creating this world.
Yes, yes. I could tell by the way you talk about your story and you talk about your characters that you really enjoyed it. Like every time you read your book, you actually enjoy your book. That's how it's supposed to be, page turners. You're supposed to enjoy it just as great as everybody else. I mean, if you don't enjoy it, who's going to enjoy it?
Very true.
Yes. All right. All right. Well, Lisette, thank you very much for being a guest on Writers with Purpose. You all
Thank you
go
for
out and
having
check
me.
out. Yes, thank you. Go out and check out Born on Fire, the Phoenix Night. I'm going to tell you, if you are dealing with anything and you got, thoughts going on in your head and, you just need to escape, a book. A book is a great escape. Go get lost in somebody else's head. Go get lost in somebody else's world, okay? In fantasy, that's even better because anything could be going on. It's just awesome. All right, all right. Well, thank you for being a guest, and thank you, page turners, for watching.
Thank
And we
you.
are going to see you all on the next episode of Writers with Purpose. And in the meantime, you all keep writing, you all keep reading, and most of all, keep turning those pages. Bye bye, everybody.
Goodbye.